message today, Series 3, Episode 6. You may remember in Series 2, we looked at the topic of abusive behaviour, and we said that since it was such a huge topic, we would actually just concentrate on self-abuse, looking particularly at drugs and alcohol at that point, and then produce other episodes to cover the other topics later. So the following week, we looked at the topic of healthy lifestyles and focused on eating disorders. Today, we're going to go back to this theme of abusive behaviour and look at the topic of self-harm, in particular, cutting. This week is a sensitive subject, so teachers and leaders, we do recommend that you watch it before showing it to your students.
Hey, what's happening? I'm Daniel. Now, if you already relate to this topic personally and you're watching this at home due to lockdown, the last thing we want to do is trigger anything, so can we suggest that you get a parent or guardian to watch it with you? If you find yourself struggling with anything we talk about, or you have any questions, please do think of an adult you trust and you can chat with ASAP. This might be a parent or guardian, a youth leader or member of staff at your school.
This week we have Amongst Walls as our special guests, music from 1224, and Gina from OTC will be sharing her story.
Let's start this episode by watching a spoken word written and performed by Ben from Soulbox.
Lost in a world like who do I trust? Lost in a world I really wanna cuss. Lost in a world like faith is a must, but maybe I'm lost, I really need love. Looking in the mirror like who's that kid? Up in his mind like what did he miss? So look what he did, there's scars on his wrist. Harbor the pain, it's hard to be missed. Why you act lowly and so coldly? Well, I got no sleep and you don't know me. Been at the docks and they told me to stop. It's some of the story, so come listen closely. Hey mum, hey dad, tell me you won't leave. Tell me you love me and that you're happy. But wait, you split, now I'm in the middle of it and it's hitting me. How do I deal with all this? Cause I'm really just caught in the riddle of this life that I thought would be better than this. Now I'm bullied and told that I never will fit. Is heaven really real? I'm skeptic of this. Now I'm up on these meds and you following, swallowing death on a daily like what did I miss? Cause I thought I was saved at the bottom. My question like God, do you listen to any of this? I got issues, tell me how do I deal with them? Never learned as a kid to be real with myself, so I buried my pain like a game, but it came to the surface and played with my health. Now I'm real with them, no more concealing them. Here's my life on these lines, hope that you feeling them, hope that you hearing them, hope that real can recognize real in them.
It is thought that nearly a quarter of 14-year-olds have self-harmed, but according to BeHeadstrong.uk, the actual figure could be much higher. If this is the case, it is really important that we understand what self-harm is so that we can see the signs in ourselves and others in order to get the right support. But what is self-harm? Let's see what our students around the UK had to say.
I don't really know much about it, but I think self-harm is kind of like you don't like yourself or you want to hurt yourself in kind of a way to let the pain out, or like you don't deserve to feel happy, so you want to harm yourself. I don't really know.
You feel that pain and anguish on the inside and you put it somewhere else. You like try and distract yourself from the pain that's going on in your head, and you cut yourself to put pain elsewhere, if that makes sense.
Maybe it's some form of way to relieve a bit of pain in some sense, because some people can't cope with pressure and stress.
That can be through like slitting a wrist or any other kind of harm that you are choosing to inflict on yourself.
It's different for other people. I think some people do it in a way to release stress and release pain that they have within them.
It's the act of harming yourself to numb the pain that's in your mind. Not necessarily always, but for like a person that's suffering on the inside, they want to direct that attention away from the mind, so they'll cause harm to themselves to stop them thinking and overreacting and, you know, distract themselves.
Maybe it's to punish yourself when you know you've done something wrong.
It doesn't have to be like actually cutting your wrist, so to speak. It can just be like the things you say to yourself on a daily basis.
Thanks, guys. Up next to share their thoughts on today's topic from the Message Trust, it's Dan, Mark, Clarissa and Andy from Amongst Wolves.
Hey guys, what's up? We are Amongst Wolves. My name is Mark, this is Clay, Dan and Andy. We are a band from Manchester. We've been doing loads of YouTube stuff, we're doing music for a little while, but today we are here to talk to you guys all about self-harm.
The NHS describes self-harm as when somebody intentionally damages or injures their body. Some of the reasons that people may self-harm include expressing or coping with emotional distress, trying to feel in control, a way of punishing themselves, relieving unbearable tension, a cry for help, or a response to intrusive thoughts. Not everyone who self-harms wants to end their life. As Dan just said, for some, it's a coping mechanism when they find themselves under severe emotional distress. If you find yourself struggling with destructive thoughts, or if you're using self-harm as a way to cope, then it's so important that you find the right support or treatment to help deal with the underlying cause in a less harmful way.
As a band, we've been privileged to be able to go into mental health hospitals around the area to deliver lessons and visit young people. And each time we see these incredibly beautiful people who are suffering so much with their mental health. Their bodies are sometimes just covered in scars and wounds from cutting and hurting themselves because of their inner turmoil. And this just breaks my heart. You see, as much as it may feel like it in the moment, self-harm is never the answer to relieving the pain inside you. It only causes more problems for you to face. But we're Christians in this band, and we believe that there is a God who loves you and cares for you so much. Nothing can separate you from his love. He created you as a masterpiece, and you are worth absolutely everything to him. And so he wants to help you through your struggles today and promises to always be with you. God says in the Bible, which is the book that Christians read, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you." So rather than hurting yourself, please remember how precious you are to God. And why not try talking to God today and tell him how you're feeling and ask him for his help? We've told this to so many people in schools across the country, and we've had people courageously come up to us to hand over whatever they've used as self-harm. Maybe this can be you today. Remember just how loved you are, and let today be the day where you learn to love yourself too.
Thank you guys for joining us on today's lesson. If you want to go check out our YouTube channel, Amongst Wolves, we massively appreciate that. We upload some real stupid stuff. We go live. We also upload music videos and loads of stuff like that. Hopefully see you there. Catch you around.
Mind.org.uk tell us that self-harm is when you hurt yourself as a way of dealing with very difficult feelings, painful memories, or overwhelming situations and experiences. Some people have described self-harm as a way to express something that is hard to put into words, turning visible thoughts or feelings into something visible, or change emotional pain into physical pain.
Others have said it's a way to reduce overwhelming emotional feelings or thoughts, have a sense of being in control, escape traumatic memories, punish themselves for their feelings and experiences, or a way to stop feeling numb, disconnected, or dissociated.
Mind go on to say that after self-harming, you may feel a short-term sense of release, but the cause of your distress is unlikely to have gone away. Self-harm can also bring up very difficult emotions and could make you feel worse.
Even though there are always reasons underneath someone hurting themselves, it is important to know that self-harm does carry risks. Once you have started to depend on self-harm, it can take a long time to stop.
We asked our students if they'd ever experienced or witnessed cutting. Let's hear their response.
I haven't personally experienced it, but I definitely have seen people with scars on their arms and things like that.
I think Anybody who goes to a mainstream high school will know of someone who's done it. I think it's way too common.
I think everyone our age has experienced it or done it themselves. For example, my best friend, who in a million years I would never have thought was going through anything, one day just showed me her leg and it was full of cuts and it broke my heart.
There was one girl from my school who self-harmed through rumours, but I do remember seeing that there are several scars around her wrist area.
No, I've never cut myself personally. I had a girl at school who's come up to me saying that she's been cutting herself, and she bursted out into tears saying that she can't, like she was going through a hard time and cutting herself. So I had to be there for her at the end.
Surprisingly, a lot of it in my school, it was sort of a culture at one point. When I was in year 7, I was 11, 12. At least 7 people in my friendship group were cutting themselves. These 2 girls, I'm not going to name, they told me that they would go under a bridge and they would just cut themselves. You know, they'd do hundreds at one time, you know, up and down their arm. Another friend said that they were going to start cutting on the leg, and I just felt at that point it was just, they had gone too far and they weren't doing it for the right reasons. So I reported them to the teachers and told them the situation and what's going on. And the person fell out with me over it, but I just thought that because they were my friend, they were a real good friend, I would much rather have someone that's alive who hates me than someone that's dead.
I think people think that's the only way they have control, and it's like the thing that they let out anger on, it's like themselves, and they almost blame themselves for certain situations. Yeah, but I think everyone has witnessed it or done it themselves, in my opinion, which is not okay. We need to stop that. That's not very healthy.
If you do know of someone self-harming, make sure you follow the NHS recommended guidelines.
Number 1, encourage them to speak to a GP or free listening service about self-harm.
Number 2, ask how they would like to be supported.
Number 3, let them know that you're there for them.
Number 4, tell them about their positive qualities.
Number 5, try to understand their emotions and experiences without judging them, rather than focusing on their self-harm.
Number 6, consider that any amount of self-harm might be a sign that they're feeling extremely distressed.
And finally, number 7, let them be in control of their decisions, but do get them medical attention if needed.
So let's take a look at some facts and stats with Adam and Destiny.
Rates of self-harm per 100,000 people in the UK vary wildly. In the 2018 to 19 figures, it showed that while Lancashire as a county had a higher rate of self-harm than the UK average, Blackpool and Blackburn with Darwen had considerably higher self-harm rates than the rest of the county itself. If you had to guess, how do you think your local area would do?
The Royal College of Psychiatrists say that it is critical for professionals to include a person's digital life within their clinical assessments, especially when there are concerns about self-harm. If you've got a friend who's posting concerning things online, it's just as important that you tell a trusted adult as it would be if they told you in person. Get them the help that they need ASAP.
Mental health organisation Headstrong say that girls are thought to be more likely to self-harm than boys, but this could be because boys are more likely to engage in behaviours like punching a wall, which isn't always recognised as self-harm or doesn't come to the attention of hospitals. I used to punch myself when I was struggling with self-harm, but I'd also lash out and hit walls as well. If you're feeling the need to lash out and punch yourself or a wall, it's important to find out why you're feeling like that and make sure that you're getting help to stop.
Non-suicidal self-harm in England nearly tripled over the past 10 years, but this was not matched by a rise in the use of health or other support services by patients who self-harm. Lead author Sally McManus from the National Centre for Social Research in London, UK, said, "Non-suicidal self-harm is increasingly being reported as a way of coping. We need to help people, especially young people, learn more appropriate and effective ways of dealing with their emotional stress."
A team led by Professor Roger Webb found significantly higher risk of self-harm in patients with physical illnesses such as asthma, back pain, COPD, coronary heart disease, diabetes, epilepsy, hypertension, osteoarthritis and strokes. Depression explained 57% of the elevated risk among all patients diagnosed with one or more long-term condition. If you're suffering from a medical condition that you're struggling to manage, make sure you're getting the support you need rather than resorting to self-harm.
In a 2019 document covering responding to self-harm in young people, the Welsh Government tackled 8 myths about self-harm, including the myth that young people who self-harm are attention-seeking, or that self-harm is something that happens in maybe just certain groups, subcultures, genders or ethnicities, or the myth that people who self-harm will just grow out of it. The document stated that there are many commonly held misconceptions and prejudices about self-harming behaviour, even among professionals. When managing self-harm, it can help to examine any preconceived ideas or worries that you might have. Why not talk to your teacher or youth group leader about any assumptions that you've made?
Up next is Lauren with our quotes of the day.
Arnold Schwarzenegger gained worldwide fame as a Hollywood action film icon. You may know him from The Terminator. He said this: "Strength does not come from winning. Your struggles develop your strengths. When you go through hardships and decide not to surrender, that is strength." That's so powerful. When you are in a moment of hardship, it can feel impossible to get through. When I was younger, I struggled with self-harm, and what helped me to overcome it was talking to an adult I trusted. They helped me through it. If you are struggling today with this topic, please make sure you speak to an adult that you can trust. You can overcome this.
Ranker.com claimed that there are many celebrities who have self-harmed, including Megan Fox, Angelina Jolie, Lindsay Lohan, Russell Brand, Johnny Depp, Lady Diana Spencer, Colin Farrell. It doesn't matter how famous you are or not. What we have discovered is that most people say it's good to talk. So let's watch a video created by young minds called Things Can Change and see how talking works out for them.
You probably feel better at the time, but then the guilt sets in, then it's just a cycle, because it never really makes the emotion go away. Although it's a coping mechanism, it's very much like in the moment, and I did feel more isolated because I wasn't able to tell anyone for quite a while, and I started to feel quite lonely. It's not something you really want to admit, that you've got so low that you're having to resort to something like that, because there's lots of stigma around self-harm. No one noticed. Like, I probably could have not told anyone ever and kept it like quiet. So when I started being able to open up to people, it did make a massive difference, because talking about it is much more positive than actually doing it.
It was kind of a relief that I'd spoken to somebody about it. It's just the little small things that can make big impacts. I was helped to find other ways in expressing myself without hurting myself. You find out different ways that you could get help and different places where you can go. It's a place where you can be heard in a space that you feel comfortable, that you could actually speak to professionals or people that you trust about it.
One of the most positive things is change. There are things that will make things better, and you just have to look for them, and if one thing doesn't work, that doesn't mean you should give up or you're not worth it. It means that there are other options which you haven't yet explored.
Getting help made me realise I'm not alone. I felt so alone, I felt so isolated, that having that help opened my eyes to the fact that I can get through it, and My most amazing thing is that I can take my negative experiences and turn them into something positive.
The Royal College of Psychiatrists recommend a website called stayingsafe.net as an innovative digital solution to equip people to make a safety plan. The website includes videos and written guidance and both a downloadable blank safety plan template and an online safety plan for storage on a device.
These plans include listing reasons for living or ideas for getting through tough times, ways of making your situation safer, such as removing things that could be used for self-harm, and if stopping self-harm is not an option yet, considering ways to make self-harm safer.
It also encourages you to think of things that can lift or calm your mood, ways to distract yourself, literally anything from doing chores to listening to music, and day-to-day support, including talking to trusted friends, family, or people in your community, as well as any specialist support from helplines or mental health professionals.
Up next is My Story, the part in the program where we hear someone's personal experience. And today we have Gina's story. You might recognize her from her band OTC.
Hello, it's me. So growing up, I was always a super hyperactive, high energy kid bouncing off the walls. But another pattern that I've noticed throughout my life is that after every single one of these hyperactive, crazy highs, always came in inevitable super low. And I never knew when the crazy highs were gonna come, so I could never plan or be prepared for these low moments. And there was two things that happened to me growing up that kind of made these low moments spiral out of control. First of all, my mum and dad had a really messy divorce and my dad left. This made me feel very, very confused, super sad, super scared, and if I'm honest, a little bit ashamed because all of a sudden I was the kid with the issues. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't fix it. The second thing that happened was throughout secondary school, I had a group of mates that perhaps maybe weren't the best, right? See, they kind of created this role for me within that group of the joker, right? So I'd always be the one that had the banter thrown at them or had the savage jokes thrown that way. And it kind of started to take its effect on me. And I started to actually believe some of what they were saying. That, yes, I was the friendly, loud, approachable one, but not the attractive one. Or I was the biggest in the group. Or that I was just there to be laughed at. And when these two things kind of met with these super lows that I couldn't explain after the highs, that's when my self-harm and my cutting began. And I remember the first time that I ever cut myself, I just had this massive argument with my mum and I was crying and I just couldn't explain why. And I remember being so angry at myself because I couldn't make myself happy, right? I couldn't fix everything. I couldn't make it stop or make all the bad stuff go away. And I think I was also hoping that once I'd reached this super rock bottom all-time low of harming myself, that surely stuff had to get better after that. Harming was kind of my way of trying to take control of all the bad stuff that was happening around me. But without professional help, that just wasn't the case, and stuff started to get worse and worse, and before I knew it, I had this massive secret that nobody knew about. Thankfully for me, my experience of cutting and self-harm only lasted for around 6 months, and that was because of two things. First of all, right, I started chatting with these friends. I started opening up to them about what it was doing to me, all these jokes. The second thing that really helped me was my faith in Jesus, right? And there's this beautiful verse in the Bible, and it's Jesus talking, he's referring to himself. He says, a doctor doesn't come to heal the well and the healthy, a doctor comes to heal the sick. And in the chaos and the craziness of my cutting, of my self-harm, my faith actually gave me a lot of peace. The peace that I thought I could get from harming and trying to control my situation with that, I actually got from Jesus. Because I began to understand that I didn't need to control it anymore, because I believe that God is in control. And all that stuff that I was worrying about, all the stuff that I couldn't fix or make go away, I could hand over to Jesus and trust him with it. So if you guys are struggling with any of this stuff today, then my number one top piece of advice would be to speak to somebody that you trust. Admit that you can't do it alone and that there are just some things in life that you can't control. For me, I choose to put my trust in God and to speak to Jesus about everything. My name's Gina Atkins, and this is my story.
Thanks, Gina. This next video is called Glow. The author Mark J. the poet introduced it by saying this: I need help is not a sign of weakness. How could it if it makes you stronger? I invite you to step out of your darkness and walk into the light.
You can't see without light. Is your circle crammed with the darkness of depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, self-harm, but only spacious with Snapchat relationships? I know a 12-year-old boy who was more afraid than he was courageous. Trembled in everyday conversations. You sure wouldn't find him on stages. Fear was his closest opponent, anxiety his coach. The solitary bathroom stall his emotional bomb shelter. Too fearful to exhale his feelings, he contained them, and that was interpreted as patience, as he became acclimated to shadows. This boy was me. I wanted not to be looked at, but to be seen. The way you gaze at a sunset like it's the last one. The way eyes these days are fixated on modern-day gadgets. My candle could not burn in the same room as the secondhand smoke of my secrecy. You may feel lonely not because you're the only one around, but because no one is looking for you. But how can they find you when you're hiding? The day came when I finally tiptoed out of my midnight place, felt the warmth of light spill upon my face. I unearthed a circle of friends and mentors who illuminated my strengths. I need help is not a sign of weakness. How could it be if it makes you stronger? Those who walk in the light will inspire you to trade hallucinations for aspirations, mirages for mirrors. But if you can't see remarkable in your mirror, your light switch must be malfunctioning. I know what it's like to walk in the rain, heavy or light, but everything changed when it started to rain light. Rainbows are formed when the sunlight shines through the rain. Don't trade your dreams for illusions or give your heart to be liked. I told my darkness, we are not alike. I told my darkness, I am not a like. When you walk in the light, you glow in the dark. To glow is to give out steady light without flame. Nothing is lit without light. I dare you to flip the switch. Turn off the night.
As we said in the beginning, if you have any questions from this session, why not talk about it in your groups afterwards? Also, if your teacher or leader would like to extend this session, you can now access the questions that accompany this episode by following the link in the description on YouTube.
If you're personally struggling with any of the content, please do think of an adult you can trust that you can talk to as soon as possible. Don't wait. There are many great websites and charities out there that we can signpost you to inform and support you moving forward. But this week we're going to make it easy. Go to the self-harm page at youngminds.org.uk. And there you'll find a bunch of really helpful websites that explain exactly what they can offer in respect to tech support, phone numbers and web chats with the Samaritans, Childline and The Mix. And also apps for Calm, Harm and Me Too.
Don't forget that many of the bands that you see on Message today are releasing new content on their socials every week. Once a month on a Friday night, all the Message Trust bands get together for one massive show called Higher Life. The band YouTube channels are now on the screen, so why don't you check them out?
We hope that today's session has been really helpful. We will be back next week looking at the topic of depression. But don't go away before watching 1224's music video, Scars. Have a great week and we'll see you soon.
I may never know why I had to face this pain, but these scars let the world know that we're gonna stand again. Now I'm walking through the ashes of the fire that took me down but didn't take me out. It just made me rise up, a fighter. Now we made it, yeah, we made it. I'm not afraid. find it. Man, I got scars I try not to show. Too scared to go down that road. But what if my healed wounds become signs of hope to a world about to give up? Some young kid about to take his life, puts the knife down and stands up. Call me crazy, call me crazy, call me what you like. Man, if Jesus died for me, trying to save my life, I can never play it down. Even if they take me out, I'ma rise up a fighter, and with him I'm walking through the ashes of the fire that took me down but didn't take me out. It just made me rise up a fighter. Now we made it, yeah, we made it. I'm not afraid. Took me down but didn't take me out. I'm not afraid. Now we made it, yeah, we made it. Falling hard in the dark, dying to be free. I saw your light illuminate every part of me. I walk this road, I'm torn in two, like weak, I'm strong, I fight for my life. Hits me hard, but I'll survive it. I'm never letting go. Sometimes I'll be walking through it, or falling through it, through the valley of the shadow of death. I'll be sitting on the fence, don't know if I'm winning or sinning, but I know that I can't pretend. So it's time to go, I found my flow. I wrote this song for the kids who were down alone, and now I know every time I show these scars, it's a reason that you ever found a hope. This pain, take this hurt, and every time they drag my name through the dirt, I know that he uses it all for a purpose. So I'm still out here putting in the work. I know what it's like to be looking at a grave, and you can't find the words you wanna pray. Still I know he's holding my hand and giving me the strength to say I'm not